Hey, happy Monday. I'm back at it with the live challenge that, yes, I put myself on to support me in being visible, in sharing what I've been up to, and of course, making a difference for you as a support you in neurohacking your results and being unleashed and unstoppable, and of course, being the irresistible bold leader that you are. So, let's talk a bit about what if you didn't have to choose just one path, right? What if you could really truly embrace all that you are, right? All the things that you are. Be the true irresistible bold leader that you are, the true authentic yourself. You know, I was just chatting with, a good friend of mine, and we were talking a little bit about, what I've been up to. And I was sharing with her that something that I was up against, and I just share a little bit about this, a few weeks ago, was around this identity of, who I am, what I'm doing, what I've been up to. And there was this story that was running in the background for me, which is something that held me back from really sharing what I've been up to. And it was this story around and this belief around a confused mind doesn't buy. Now, in coaching, and I work with, I do a lot of business coaching and also help a lot of business owners with their visibility, right? With the thoughts and beliefs that are standing in the way of them, being out there and being visible and letting people know what they do. And then here's me, right? Doing the same thing. When I'm coaching and helping them get really clear on, how they help people, the impact that they create, and, that sort of through line of what they're helping people with, so they really get to be known as something. I often coach into like a confused mind doesn't buy, right? So on a subconscious level, if we're not really sure, if we're confused, then other people, when they hear us speaking and they're talking to us on a subconscious level, they're gonna sense that we're not even sure. And so of course, they're not gonna be sure and they're gonna be confused, right? When you are making an offer or putting something out there, confused mind doesn't buy, right? Like our minds like clarity, our minds like to be really clear on what it is to take action on that, right? Like, because the reality is clarity also creates comfort for the brain. It creates safety, which is what our brain's always scanning for, right? So of course that was my belief, right? I'm like, no, a confused mind doesn't buy. A confused mind doesn't buy. And so it was like I was constantly scanning of, how do I show up, right? Like so that I don't create confusion, so that I build that trust. People understand who I am, what I stand for, and all those things. But here's the thing, and this is based on another conversation I had with somebody else a couple weeks ago, is that what's the through line, right? What is the through line between things, right? The whole concept of the confused mind doesn't buy is when you are confused. But when you know who you are, when you know what you stand for, when you know what your values are, when you know the impact you can create, the difference you can make, when you know your vision, when you know what's important to you, there is no confusion because you know deep down in your heart who you are. And if you happen to run a business, how you serve people, how you help them, right? The confusion comes from when you're really not sure. But when you are sure in yourself, what's important to you and all the things I just listed, right? Like it's different because you're going to show up differently energetically. And I will say that something and a big shift that happened for me is embracing being multifaceted, right? Because who said that being multifaceted is a bad thing, right? It's okay to be multifaceted. In fact, being multifaceted is what makes you unique. It's what makes you special, right? Ever heard, for those of you that are business owners, right? Your vibe attracts your tribe because it's your vibe. It's the things that make you you. It's your uniqueness. And it's so funny because that it all stems to, being confident in yourself, being courageous, being connected, which to me are all very important words. It's my power statement, my contract of how I get to show up and be. But it's the moment that I really embraced this being multifaceted that, of course, I showed up. I was visible. I started this 14-day live challenge, and it got to be easy because I stopped myself from being in psychological assessment and trying to assess what I'm doing because I just get to be me. And authenticity is the through line between all the things that I get to do, because I get to show up as myself, right? Who is passionate about web design and building your websites. I mean, this stems from my roles at educational technology, right? As a director of educational technology, teaching about privacy and teaching about owning your voice, your identity. Because if you don't own your voice, if you don't own your identity, well, then somebody else could. So one of the fastest, easiest ways to own your identity online is actually to buy your domain name and then to build a WordPress website. Because if you build a WordPress website, you own it. So not using a third-party software where you're going to sign all these privacy policies and it's going to belong to somebody else. No, you own it. And guess what? Peak is known for building WordPress websites. We specialize that. And, there's a lot more reasons why, but one of the things that makes WordPress websites so amazing is you can personalize it, right? It makes it unique, which again, authenticity, right? You can make it your own. You have so much flexibility to be able to have that website, right? And so at the heart of, it even like Andrew and I was our second date. Our second date, we were actually talking about websites. I showed him my website. I was so excited to show him that and explain to him how I was, I had learned some CSS and HTML, when I did my master's. I mean, that is really what brought our relationship together on our second date, talking about websites, right? And I never share that. I don't talk about that. And yet that was actually what started our relationship, seeing that commonality in our passion for being able to have that knowledge so that we could go out there and not only for ourselves create that, but also help other people create that too. And being creative, right? Like when you have this knowledge and you can create something like that, like there's no limitation, right? So think about that. There's no limitation. And I'm all about being unleashed and unstoppable, which is the name of my podcast, because with my neuro coaching background, I am about helping you be unleashed and unstoppable. I am about you being the irresistible, bold leader, which ties into the authenticity. And so I share this, and even as I'm sharing this with you, I'm like seeing like, oh my goodness, like this is it, this is it, this is it. That's who I am. Right? And that's what I stand for. And that is, there's no confusion here, right? I might be a neuro coach and I'm able to neurohack your results and the things that you want to create. I can transfer that knowledge into web design, helping you show up, helping you ask questions and help weave in some psychology with the website so that when people come to your website, they know that they're connecting with the real, true, authentic you, not some robotic, and I love AI. I use it all the time, but some inauthentic robotic website that like they get to the website and it's as if they're having a conversation with you, right? And then the Unleash Unstoppable piece, same idea with us taking a stand, helping you learn and become aware of your brain that's maybe not been helping you live the life that you desire and being unleashed. And then the Irresistible Bold Leader is about being, right, outrageously loving and daring in your leadership, in all areas of your life, so that you get to be yourself. And then, of course, we got the children's book, which it currently is slotted as Free to Be Me, which is authenticity, right? It's the way that it's the beautiful dance between how everything ties together. And no matter where I show up with whatever hat I'm wearing in each of those moments, I'm myself, which is authenticity. And so that's what it's freeing. It's freeing because I no longer have this belief of a confused mind doesn't buy, because I'm not confused. I'm owning my multiple identities. And I'm leaning into this for you who's watching this because it's an invitation to you to own your, not multiple identities, sorry. Well, like it's one identity, but it's multifaceted, right? So it's an invitation for you to define what does your multifaceted identity look like. So you don't have to pick and choose. You get to be all of them. And a question of curiosity of just like, what's the through line? I had another conversation with a great girlfriend of mine last week, and we were having this conversation about this of like, do I go over here and do I go over there, right? And it's kind of like this. What does it look like to go one layer up? Who are you? When people think of you, what comes to mind for them? Right? And I know in many ways that I'm known as, neuro coaching and leadership. Many of you also know me as technology. And all I'm tagging on to the end there is websites, which those of you that have known me for a really, really long time know that I also did build websites, and I used to teach how to build websites, and I've taught coding and all of these things. It's just things that I may not have shared and been open about in the last couple of years, where I've been more open and more passionate about the leadership. But it's all together. There's a through line in all of it. And my question to you is, what's your through line, right? Who are you at your core? What are the different multifacets that you bring to the table, right? Because people are attracted to you and what you bring to the table. So who is that? It's a beautiful invitation to really, drop in the chat and share, when you hear this, what comes to mind and what is truly on your heart. And when people think of you, what comes to mind for them, and even a great invitation to ask people, right? When you think of me, what comes to mind? And own it, right? You get to own you. You get to own your expertise. You get to own your multifacetedness. You get to own it, because there's only one you. And you being you is what makes a world of a difference for all the people in your lives. So happy Monday, happy new week, happy new month, and I'll see you tomorrow on my next live. Bye. Happy Monday.